Well, I'm here with Ken Taylor, who joined us from Chicago. Hi, Ken.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you? Glad to be here.
Yeah, we're really happy to have you here. And Sophia DuRose. Hi.
Always
So,
here.
always, ever. So we're here to talk about a poem by Bob Kaufman. And it's called the Abomunist Manifesto. It obviously is a play on the Communist Manifesto. It was first published as a pamphlet in 1959, and I own the pamphlet but couldn't find it this morning. But I'm gonna do show and tell in another way. Published in '59, as everybody who cares about Bob Kaufman, which is pretty much everybody we admire, San Francisco based. He had a terrible time in New York, a terrible time. Let's not get into that. And then back to San Francisco. His involvement with the Beats was very important, especially in the late 50s, mid to late 50s through 1960 and a little later. Then he took a vow of silence. It wasn't a complete one, but then we go some years later, and just seen around San Francisco and admired by everyone. This, I'd say, and he had a politics. Some people actually think he was very specifically part of the left from World War II on. But that's, by this point, he's sort of not communist and certainly not anti-communist, but more like anti-communist. So he's partly making fun of the fear of the Cold War fear of the moral panic. He's also making fun of conventional lefties. And Jail Poems does a pretty good job of that. But this Abomunist Manifesto is just, in some ways, hilarious. And he's really declaring some things. So we're going to talk about 3 poems in the Abomunist Manifesto series, and I'm going to hold this up. So this is the Beatitude Anthology. Beatitude being, obviously a version of beat. This was, I think, Kerouac's favorite interpretation of what the word beat meant, beatitude, meaning transcendental, rather than beat punched down. And this is an anthology that was published in 1960. And it was published by City Lights. There's the City Lights. I don't know if Zach Gardner, the amazing cameraman, can get to that. It's a little faded. And the Abomunist Manifesto is in here, and we get all caps on the first page of it. The Abomunist Manifesto appeared serially in early issues of Beatitude, and then was reprinted as a broadside by City Lights. And the following pages are excerpts from it. So it was published serially in the magazine associated with this anthology, and then published as a whole in the anthology. And I believe Ken is that actually a Xerox of the pamphlet, the original pamphlet, or another printing?
It was somebody who'd put it on the web, the pamphlet, so that's a printing of that. I do have a copy of the manifesto, and I just forgot to bring it.
Yeah. Okay, so I've asked Ken to read the 3 poems, the 3 passages, sections, aloud, but maybe read one, and then we'll talk and read the second. So would you read the Abomunist Manifesto? And I'm dying to know how you're going to read the all caps. I don't know. You'll figure it out.
Well, he spoke in all caps, is what people said in the Billy Woodbury movie. Okay, Abomunist Manifesto. I mean, all of this is in caps.
Yeah.
Abomunists join nothing but their hands or legs or other same. Abomunists spit anti-poetry for poetic reasons and frink. Abomunists do not look at pictures painted by presidents and unemployed prime ministers. In times of national peril, Abomunists as reality Americans stand ready to drink themselves to death for their country. Abomunists do not feel pain, no matter how much it hurts. Abomunists do not use the word square except when talking to squares. Abomunists read newspapers only to ascertain their abominability. Abomunists never carry more than $50 in debts on them. Abomunists believe that the solution to the problems of religious bigotry is to have a Catholic candidate for president and a Protestant candidate for pope. Abomunists do not write for money, they write the money itself. Abomunists believe only what they dream, only after it comes true. Abomunist children must be reared abominably. Abomunist poets, confident that the new literary form footprintism has freed the artists of the outmoded restrictions, such as the ability to read and write or the desire to communicate, must be prepared to read their work at dental colleges, embalming schools, home for unwed mothers, home for wed mothers, insane asylums, sane asylums, USO canteens, kindergartens, and county jails. Abomunists never compromise their rejectionary philosophy. Abomunists reject everything except snowmen.
Let's go around and try to say what we think the tone is first, for starters. Sophia?
The tone?
The tone. What is the tone?
I mean, it feels like, parody isn't right because I think it's angry too.
Parody can be angry.
Yeah.
It's parodic of what? Of the Communist Manifesto, not so much, actually. That was not a fun. There's not a lot of big irony in the Communist Manifesto. So.
Yeah.
No, it feels like a response, like a somewhat humorous response to the perception of someone like an experimental radical artist. Like, you think we're ridiculous, I'll show you.
You want ridiculous? I'll
yeah.
give you ridiculous. Okay, good. Ken, you want to add to that tone?
Yeah, I mean, it's like more a Dada manifesto in a way, and it's also, to me, like Zen koans, so you can't really get to the bottom of them. It makes you think. So there's real depth in here and real slapstick, and also things that aren't funny at all in terms of they're presented in a funny kind of container, but they're not funny at all, especially like the insane asylum, the stuff that happened in New York that you alluded to. So, yeah.
Okay, so next round, what is an abomunist? Or who is an abomunist? And where does it come from? It's communist plus abomination?
Abominable, like the snowman.
Abominable, as in the abominable snowman, which gets referred to.
Yeah, he says that over here.
Yes, so who's an abomunist?
Bob.
Bob is, okay. You cheated, but I'll let that go.
Yeah, I mean, he is. He's kind of out on his own a little bit. He's a little bit part of the Beats, but he's kind of, his own agent. He seems to be it, but it's also that kind of the North Beach area where they were kind of, he started that bus tour where they went and looked at, geeked on the regular people, the squares.
Right.
Like people were coming to North Beach.
Yeah.
So I think this reactionary, standing up against the man sort of tribe is who could qualify. But there's all these different ways that you can qualify or can't qualify, so it's hard to really pin down.
So in this way, he actually winds up being in league with other artists deemed an abomination by poking fun at the squares. So he's sort of even though he's very individual, and he's he has the greatest qualities of abomination among the fairly clean cats who were hanging around his beats. Ferlinghetti was very industrious, and Ginsberg wanted to be liked by everyone, that kind of thing. But so he does poke fun at the squares in a fairly, he's pro-beat, for sure, he's pro-beat. So can we find a line or two that articulates, that bespeaks that pro-beat, how dare you, ha-ha to anybody who thinks I'm an abomination, or can turn the politics around? In case I didn't say that question clearly enough, I'll start. The reference to John F. Kennedy running as a Catholic in 1960. He was running in 59 when this is written, running for president. The reference to Eisenhower, who as president was doing oil paintings, kind of like paint by numbers bullshit, right? Pictures of paintings of clowns.
And Churchill too.
And Churchill, who was retired and a painter.
Yeah.
So those are like pretty standard art. That's art, square art. Come on, guys. Pretty standard. Do we have any more of those?
I love this one. Abomunists do not write for money, they write the money itself.
That's great.
It's like somebody, I remember being at a meeting and they were like, so what do you bring to the table? And his response was, you mean besides the table?
Yeah.
You know? Like, we're on top of this, we're not doing the other.
Two more questions before we move to the next poem. The first is the Communist Manifesto is predicting the conditions that would lead to a revolution. Manifesto. Okay, so this has the rhetoric and the diction of manifesto, but isn't one, I think. Am I right? Can you comment on its relationship to a political manifesto?
Well, it's kind of already happening. It's not doing a prediction of what's going to be. They're already resisting.
We're already here.
Yeah, they're already in the middle of it. He's just kind of documented it almost in reverse.
Yeah. Yeah, the newspapers are already covering it. Abomunists read newspapers only to ascertain their abominability. We're in the paper. Just, you don't have to. Sophia, any thought on this? It's not really a manifesto.
Yeah, I mean, the first line, abomunists join nothing but their hands or legs or others same. I don't really know what to do
I
with
don't know what
others
that
same.
means, actually.
But I mean, I feel like it's speaking to this idea of the abomunists being concerned with what's happening now in the self. Like, they'll clasp hands with others, they'll like join bodies, but they're not going to join some like frou-frou political party that isn't actually doing anything, that isn't real.
Okay, last question about this. So anti-poetry is a thing that, you could say went back to Paris in the 1870s. You could certainly say it's flourishing in the 19-teens in Zurich and in New York in the 20s. Anti-poetry is not new. This is anti-poetry by idea, by concept, but it's really not anti-poetic. It's quite poetic. Can we point out a few lines that bespeak that embody poetry, not anti-poetry? I'll start.
Okay.
Abomunists believe only what they dream, only after it comes true. That's a beautiful poetic line in a traditional sense.
Yep.
Any others?
Stand ready to drink themselves to death for their country.
That's hilarious. I don't know if that's poetic.
Is it not? I mean,
He uses poetic device, but
yeah, or just poets drinking. Like,
okay. In the poetic tradition.
Yeah.
Ken, do you have one?
Abomunists never carry more than $50 on debts on them because of the twists on the debts.
Love that. Okay, let's go to the next one. I'll ask Ken to read it. It's short. It's just 10 lines. It's the Abomunist Election Manifesto, and we are having a national election in 1959-60, so there we are.
Abomunist Election Manifesto. 1. Abomunists vote against everyone by not voting for anyone. 2. The only proposition abomunists support are those made to members of the opposite sex. 3. Abomunists demand the abolition of Oakland. 4. Abomunists demand low-cost housing for homosexuals. 5. Abomunists demand suppression of illegal milk traffic. 6. Abomunists demand statehood for North Beach. 7. The only office abomunists run for is the unemployment office. 8. Abomunists support universal shrinkage. 9. Abomunists demand split-level ranch-type phone booths. 10. Abomunists demand the reestablishment of the government in its rightful home at big question mark.
Okay, Sophia, any thoughts about this? This is very funny.
it is funny. This is the first time I've seen it.
I mean, you didn't prepare?
No, I thought we were only doing the initial manifesto.
Okay, your true genius is going to come out.
Is it? I don't know about that. Do I have any thoughts?
Yeah. I
Well,
mean, it's funny.
It is
Is it
funny.
more than that?
Yeah. Shrinkage, it's not defined, if I'm not
He likes
mistaken,
the word
right?
frink and
yeah,
shrinkage,
but it's like made up, right?
Well, you know,
It's all throughout.
like implicitly in different ways.
Do we know what it is, Ken?
I
It's
mean,
censored.
it seems like, yeah, it seems like, you know, can you say cuss words in this little show?
Yeah, of course we can.
I mean, it's like,
The FCC hasn't
okay.
entered the room quite yet.
You know, fuck is one of it because it's that and funky and, you know, it's just, it reminds me of what was said about Neil Cassidy, how he used numbers and stuff when he lost his rep. It seems like a placeholder word that can be used to keep a beat or something, and it's very pliable.
Yeah, he really is a sound poet, and the first two poems sections we're talking about don't feature that. The third one will to some degree, but we have in ModPo at least one conversation. Actually, it was filmed in the rental car on the way. Zach, who's behind the camera, will remember this. Zach and Chris are driving in the front seat. Jake Marmer and Anna Strong and I are in the back seat, and we just talked about this amazing sound poem, and I urge everybody to look for it. This is not that, but Frink is a hint at it. Okay. Sophia, pick one that you find charming and worth talking about.
The only office Abomunists run for is the unemployment office.
That's classic Bob Kaufman.
It's classic. It's also, there's only two of these that begin with something other than the word Abomunist, which makes me think of them together, and they also start with the only. And I think that repetition is doing something in the poem. It definitely draws attention, and it's just really funny.
At the risk of asking you to say something too obvious, how does the cleverness work?
Well, the setup is the only office the Abomunists run for, and so you're like primed to think, oh my gosh, what power do they want? And then the punchline is like the bottom rung of power. There's no power in that.
We have this idiom that you run for office, which is a dead metaphor. That maybe in the 1830s, American politicians ran for office. I'm not sure if it was ever not a dead metaphor. It's just an idiom. It's an idiom that doesn't translate into pretty much any other language, as far as I can tell. But then, of course, they run to
The
get
check's
on.
ready.
They run. The check is ready. So that is classic Kaufman, and actually classic Beat. I mean, Ferlinghetti at his both best and worst would do puns like that. You know, this was something that a beatnik would tell you sitting on a stool if you passed through North Beach and maybe collect a dime for their cleverness. Ken, do you have one that's remarkable or worth talking about?
Abomunists demand split-level ranch-type phone booths.
That's great.
I mean, they don't have a split-level ranch-like house, so they're on the street. So they might as well have a very luxurious phone booth.
But it's also got an edge to it. I mean, he would love to have a split-level phone booth, but at the same time, he's mocking the ticky-tacky, you know, Marin County is now being overrun by, at that point, by ranch houses and middle-class people who are aspiring to conventionality, and, you know, so he's mocking it and also desirous. I'd love to have one of those. All right, is there either of you, is there anyone that makes you wince because it's dated or untoward? Well, I'll say number one. I mean, I lived through the election of 2000. You know, he would not have voted for Nader, but he also would not have voted, and so that's what happened. So that's very pious of me. But is there another one? Well, it assumes heterosexuality in number two, right?
Yeah, number two. That seems the most dated of all of it.
Yeah.
The only proposition Abomunists support are those made to members of the opposite sex.
Right. But he makes up for a little in unironically demanding low-cost housing. For
Right, exactly, yeah.
He knows what he's doing. The abolition of Oakland has traded sides. I'm sure that now the far right would like to get rid of Oakland, and it wouldn't be fun. Okay, let's go to the third and last of these. It's the Abomunist Rational Anthem.
I think you better read this. I don't know if I can read this.
I'll try it, but then you should do it too.
Okay.
All right. Abomunist rational anthem to be sung before and after frinking. Derat slegligations flow goof barbario, sarash show doobies waggo, walo, walo, geed bop, nava gleed, nava, spear eater, hiatus, Hadakaz, axe, Dara edition, boom edition, squam, D beat strawest, wapego, loco, locoro, locoist, vumeterita, I can't do that, vumeteri petiop, bop, weebop, dirat, slowho, currit plog, manji, squampot, clipo, jago, bree, aslooper, a kingo, labiop, ingpop, boint, plolo, bop. Music composed by Schroeder. Do we have anything to say? Sophia, what is it?
I mean, it just kind of feels like you're gonna listen to me no matter what. Like, I'm gonna force you to sit here and listen to me either make no sense or you have to struggle through finding some sort of sense, and either way I've taken up space and time from you.
I love it. Ken?
Well, it's got some, real words in there like goof and bop and loco and beat and pot. So it has those in there. But the other thing I was thinking, the music's composed by Schroeder. And I don't know who actually composed the music that Schroeder played most often in the Charlie Brown, but it was that bum 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 bum.
Yeah,
so
I think you probably.
I tried to read it that way,
and
which
how did
is
it go?
like, well, it's hard to do. Derets, lagations, flow, goopok, barbero, squash, tissue, doobie, wago, walo, and then that boom, 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 boom,
Why the fuck did you have? Why the freak did you have me read it when you had it in your head? Can you do a little more of that?
Geed pop nava gleed, nava speed rider who does head of cats. Oh, axe, ho, derision, boom, addition, squamp. So you read against kind of the line, I guess.
I love that. So there is an irony created by the juxtaposition of Schroeder and this nonsense. The second irony is created by this being not the national anthem, and not the irrational anthem, but the rational anthem. You want to make the national anthem rational? I mean, talk about non-Schroeder sound. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early. It's like a single impossible sentence. So do we want to spend a little round here comparing this to the national anthem? Francis Scott Key?
I mean, it's too bad that all the national anthems are all about, war and defeating things.
Mm-hmm.
When other countries have beautiful songs like America the Beautiful or,
Right. This
My
land
Country
is your
Tis
land or something.
Yeah. This is having fun. It's not trying to be rational. It's not trying to conquer anything.
Yeah. So rationality is defined as a poem song that has an ambition to declare that's ours, or we get to, in the context of the War of 1812, we get to keep this, go away. He's not saying anything like that. Okay, final round on this poem, each observation, and then we'll have a final thought on the whole experience.
I guess on this poem, to your point about the comparison between the national anthem, the explicit instruction is to be sung before and after frinking. So there's real what's the word? Ambiguity to when this is necessary or desired. And I feel like with the national anthem, it's at, I don't know, sports games and stuff, and
You say
in
that
school.
with such disdain.
And I feel like
you're sitting here with two baseball fans. I think you're a baseball fan, aren't you? Cubs fan.
Yeah.
So there's a rigidity and an expectation for when the national anthem is performed, and a real honor to it.
Right.
And I feel like this, it's you do this before and after, whatever the hell this means.
Ken?
I mean, it's just, to me, it's enjoying improvisation and enjoying sound coming out of your mouth. And if drinking could be drinking in this instance, so it's like a drinking song.
It's a drinking song, yeah. And it's doing what Bob Kaufman does to words. It's taking rational and making it something else. All right, final thoughts on the Abomunist Manifesto. What do you think, Sophia? This is your first experience with it, I think.
I think it is, yeah. What do I think?
Yeah.
I think...
You like it?
I do. I think there's plenty more for me to uncover within it. Yeah. I'm curious. I'm just really curious about the snowman at the... Like, is he the snowman? Is he the abominable snowman? I don't know.
Bumbles bounce.
I think Jail Poems is probably going to be the place to find the answer to that. He seeks the company, since he's jailed, and he was jailed quite often, so he seeks the company of others who've been deemed abomination by the local police and by the, two-bit district attorneys. And there is where he finds an alternative being. I mean, Stephen's snowman is one that perceives, despite the fact that he has no mind. The snowman is always ever lobotomized. Kaufman goes back to San Francisco. He wasn't lobotomized, but he was electrically shocked. So he's like, I don't have a brain, I'm a snowman, in the Stephen sense.
Except it's snowman. He wants the community of them.
Yeah, he's much more interested in other people. Stevens was not. Stevens was kind of a solipsist. But he really likes the people he's jailed with. And there's one jail poem, I wish I could remember it. I'd probably take time to look for it, but I won't, where he finds a guy who's sitting across the table. He's a guy on the floor used to sit across the table and have political arguments, conversation. That's my guy. Ken, a general thought?
I mean, at first, when you read it, it's very slapsticky and, broad. But the more you read it, especially if you read some of these other things that you didn't get a chance to look at, it keeps blooming with just depth and cleverness and real, not only poetry, but just a sense of what's going on in the world and his connection to it. And there's just more you can just do a deep dive and be there for a while.
Yeah, totally true. My final thought is simple, which is that, Bob Kaufman was politically astute. He understood what was going on. He was keeping up with events. He was horrified. He felt it was all abominable. And to make that point, or to emphasize that point, I'll just read a few lines from the last piece, which is the Abom Newscast on the Hour. I'll just skip around a little bit. America collides with iceberg piloted by Lindbergh baby. Civilian Defense Headquarters unveils new bomb shelter with 2-car garage, complete with indoor patio and barbecue unit that operates on radioactivity. Comes in decorator colors, no down payment for vets. He's a vet. Right. To be sold only to those willing to sign loyalty oath. Forest Lawn Cemetery opens new subdivision in split-level tombs for middle income group. President inaugurates new policy of aggressive leadership, declares December 25th, Christmas Day. Pope may allow priests to marry, said to be aiming at one big holy family. Russian said to be copying TV format with frontier epic filmed in Berlin. Nuclear wagon train features Moiseyev dancers, Russian dancers. Cuban sees Cuba. Outrage, U.S. acts quickly, cuts off tourist quota. Administration introduces measure to confine all Roomba bands to detention camps during emergency. End of news. Remember your national emergency signal. When you see one small mushroom cloud and 3 large ones, it's not a drill. Turn the TV off and get under it. Foregoing sponsored by your friendly neighborhood abomunist. Tune in next world. That's just great. I mean, I wish he'd been on TV. Maybe he was. thank you both. This was a lot of fun. And go Bob Kaufman.
Yeah.